Hello people, I'm going to do a little speech about what's going on around here at the moment, and this is how it starts. Throughout the past 3 years we have been through many changes, some very difficult times and some life-altering changes, and these changes not of our own accord or choosing. Many have forgotten what we have been through or choose to turn a blind eye to the hurt, pain and suffering so many have had to endure. The powers that be would rather you not remember or have you distracted by things that should matter. The politicians that insisted and so insistently pushed for you to follow the science, to follow the unjust, illegal and unlawful rules and restrictions, the same political leaders that called anyone out who questioned their agenda, shut down any two-way debate and cancelled out any medical profession, doctor, scientist or nurse, who advised against the push to have the British public injected with an experimental drug with no long-term safety data. Now that the trials of that same drug has come to an end, we now see celebrities, politicians and others who so insistently pushed, coerced and misled the public into wearing of masks and continuous testing, lockdown rules and restrictions, and worst of all, the push to have the public take an unsafe, largely untested experimental vaccine. Those same people are now backpedaling. Have you believed that they were none the wiser and that they now somehow stand on the right side of history? The damage has been done. Those that listen to their advice are either suffering in pain or have sadly passed. To name just a few, Dr. Mal Horter, an expert in cardiology, a man who insisted with heart disease patients to stop the use of statins as they were unsafe and ineffective. This very same man who advised the public to take the mRNA COVID vaccine as he believed it was our only way out of COVID and a way back to freedom. He called out anyone that questioned the vaccine and labelled those of us who were cautious as conspiracy theorists and misinformationists. I wonder how many lives he has cost from those who took his advice. Frightening statistics show the uprise in cardiac arrest, pericarditis and more alarmingly myocarditis, heart inflammation in under 18 since the vaccine rollout. Matt Hancock, who can forget this one? The former health secretary, we all remember his words, this vaccine will not be used on children. It's an adult-only vaccine. Within a matter of months, his advice changed and the likes of Chris Whitty and himself pushed the vax rollout into the schooling system, pushing every parent to have their innocent child injected with an unsafe experimental drug. Alarming statistics show a huge rise in spontaneous and sudden death in young adults, teens and children, and a worrying increase in stillbirths and miscarriages in pregnant women. This same murderer, Matt Hancock, had elderly people locked in care homes away from family and away from family interaction, and put on end-of-life drugs midazolam. He now asks for immunity from the crimes and murder he's committed. Are we going to allow him to walk freely amongst us when innocent lives have been lost? So much has been forgotten in the last 3 years. Livelihoods destroyed, children mentally and psychologically abused, suicides, depression and mental health increase. And worst of all, the cost of life, innocent lives lost and millions suffering in pain from vaccine complications and side effects. Now these poor people need help. They're being brushed aside by our corrupt government and NHS. The COVID virus and pandemic has brought many changes to our lives and still continue to do so. As a father and a protector, one of those changes that has angered and upset me is the over-sexualisation of our innocent children. We now see drag queen story time appearing all over the country. There's something very crude and vulgar about grown men wearing next to nothing, wanting to read a story to a young child. The organisers of Cabba Babba Rave, a baby sensory show featuring half-naked drag acts, burlesque and BDSM acts with filthy names, had told the press after backlash from angry parents wanting the shows to be cancelled that they aimed the show at parents sick of wheels on a bus. What parent in their right mind would allow their child to be subject to highly sexualised acts? This is a form of grooming, and those men allowing children to be present of such an event is a form of paedophilia. And this is the sick world in which we live in right now. And speaking recently, a prominent barrister specialising in reproductive rights called for an age of consent to be lowered to the ages of 13. Barbara Hewson, an ex-barrister, also once said that the move was necessary in the wake of the Jimmy Savile scandal to end the persecution of old men, and said that complaints should no longer receive anonymity. where my complaint can be heard. These men are nothing but paedophiles, and many of them reside in high places who believe they have some form of protection. I say to all parents, it's about time we acknowledge the fact that many of these crimes against children have gone unnoticed for too long, and now it's time we bring all involved to justice. Whilst the BBC and mainstream have you distracted with psyops and false flags, the Epstein flight logs have been released, and on that list many top political leaders, elites and celebrities have travelled to an island where young innocent children have been subject to torture, sexual acts and murder. Millions of children around the world trafficked and sold to the highest bidder. These sick, perverted parasites, the same people who gave out COVID advice and so insistently wanted a large proportion of the world's population to take the once safe and effective drug that's now harming millions and killing millions also around the world. The world in which we live in is run by power-hungry, criminal, murdering, paedophilic elites. We have to raise our voice and stand up for the next generation. One group of truly awesome warriors who have stood in the streets of London to protest against the trafficking of innocent children and bring light to the sickening crimes committed on innocent children's lives. They have been relentless in their pursuit to bring justice to all those involved. Some really kind-hearted and compassionate souls and good friends of mine, Francis Shea, Nick Hopkins, Kieran Thompson, Abby Conliffe, Denise Gale and Janice, brought these crimes to the forefront so that others can see for themselves our children are under attack. So many of these acts of kindness go unnoticed by many. So many of us around the world have marched and protested against the government's push on our freedoms and futures, and our children's futures. We selflessly give up our time to warn our loved ones, friends and family, work colleagues. We are kind, compassionate, caring and loving, and only want what's best for us all, a peaceful, safe place to live. Without dictatorship of the ruling class, a safe place our children can grow and be happy. We have at times been pushed aside, victimised and villainised, been banned from social media outlets, called the vile and disgusting names for standing on our truth and the pursuit for truth to be told. I, for one, am proud of each and every one I have met in the last 3 years on marches and protests. It's those people who look to change the world for the better. I want to leave this speech with a message to the BBC. You can suppress and cancel out those who seek to enlighten others, but the truth you can never hide. The truth shall be told. On the 21st of January, a March Truth Be Told Vaccine Victim Awareness Month was held outside your main headquarters, where thousands of us attended in support of those who have been left injured from serious complications and adverse reactions, and the bereaved families of loved ones they have lost to this sick drug. A screen so big you couldn't miss it, with those injured speaking about their harrowing, life-changing complications, and speeches such as the awe-inspiring Matt Letizia, who was wrongly sacked from his job at the BBC and Sky Sports for questioning the effects the COVID vaccine has had on the young, fit athletes of the game of football, and the sudden rise in cardiac arrest and heart attack among the players of the game. Robert Malone, a prominent figure in the world of medicine, an American physician and biochemist with his early work focused on mRNA technology, founding COVID vaccines, a man who gave his time to warn others of the dangers of taking the drug, advised against its use, but like many cancelled out for having a different view. BBC, where are you? Where's your acknowledgement of these poor people? You so insistently pushed through propaganda to take this once known safe and effective drug. Where are you now? Silent, deadly silent. You will pay for what you have brought on the people of this country. My respect goes to Catherine Parker, my very good friend from the States, who stood strong and brave and told her story to the people. You have my respect for helping others also in their hour of need and supporting those who have had to suffer just like you to the effects of this unsafe drug. And finally, John Watt, a truly brave, courageous warrior, a Scotsman that takes no crap, who after suffering from the effects of these same drugs still continues to warn others of the dangers, who has openly spoke out on mainstream to show support for others and bring justice to the lives affected. Respect, brother. I've become a very good friends with so many truly inspiring, brave, courageous souls over the last 6 months, from Canada, the States and Egypt, and the UK. To name a few, Josie Barnes, Ali Lilly, Kelly Rogers, Lindsay Nicole, Megan Farbers, Adam Rowland, Z-Top and Hav, and Michelle Utter, and so many others fighting daily with complications and the effects brought on by the COVID vaccines, who have fought strong, fighting for justice to be served. The criminal politicians who misled and pushed those poor souls is an experimental trial, and the doctors and nurses and scientists are so insistently advised on taking them. You will pay for what you have done to these poor people. This has always been my motto. Let's bring unity back to the community, show support and love to others, and most importantly, freedom for all, footsteps for freedom.
Yeah, woo!